Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, Vandy is back on Card 5 Vanguard deck profile, so if you enjoyed the time, come subscribe and sorry. This time we are covering Lyrical Monasterio, Loronerol from the new Festival collection. All around, this deck is pretty solid. I do like the new Loronerol a little more than I like the old one, but at the same time, this deck feels like the one that can easily swap between both Loronerols respectively during the game. Like, this is the only deck I've actually gone between old one and new one back and forth, because it's honestly fun getting to Sentinel Restrict on one regard, but then also being able to double sing a song, but at the same time being able to call rear guards and get triple drive all while your opponent's technically at grade 2. So let's just go and get started, shall we? And you can see what I mean by this, because this deck is very fun to play. First up, we have our starter to deliver a song, Loronerol, grade 0 boost, 5k shields, 6k base. Auto remote opponent if you win second, draw a card. Stand starter responsibility is just a free draw if you win second. None of the ride line really requires this, not to my memory anyways, but might as well run the whole line just for the sake of aesthetic, but also because, you know, you never know. It's just nice to have it as the starter. Also, yeah, actually, no, there's nothing more I can say about this, because I normally don't like this ride line, but like I said, the new cards have made me kind of like it a little bit more, so one of. Then we have our triggers. First, we have our over trigger and fantastic funnel, Katrina. God, I love saying that. That might be the only reason why I love this deck back in the, when it was only the original Lord, just because of this over trigger. Grade 0 boost, 50k shield, 5k power, over trigger, you may have an over trigger in your deck. Reverse trigger, melee guard, draw a card, choose one of each of its turn. In your video during draw track, activate its inflict during this fight. You get, during your turn, all your rear guards get plus 10k power. All around, pretty solid, gets a fuck ton of numbers to your board, and basically makes so that if you drive check this at any time, the following turn, if not that turn, your opponent's definitely fucking dead, because all your columns are swinging for plus 20. So Katrina's just a solid over trigger, adds pressure, adds numbers. You can really run any of the Lyrical Monster over triggers because they all do the exact same thing, but might as well do this one for theming because, you know, War, Beast, etc. And also because its name is funny to say. Tell me you don't crack up every time you say the words fantastic funnel. Then we have our normal triggers. First, we run 3 copies of Thick and Fluffy Siesta Hilma. Grade 0 boost, 5k shield, 5k power. Draw trigger, not so much about it. You can run the effect draws if you want. It doesn't really change the deck's performance, but I like to go for, again, theming and just this draw trigger's actually really always on my side, because she always shows up when I need discard fodder, and then when I need actual hand cards, she shows up in my drive checks or damage checks respectively. So Hilma actually I like, believe this or not. I don't know why. I used to not like her, and then she just kind of just started working for me. So 3 of Hilma, why not? Then we have 4 copies of Snowskip Paravi. Grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 4k power, continues guard circle. If your opponent's vanguards are grade 3 guards, but 5k shield. You know, 20k shield is pretty nice, and being able to give plus 10k to front row is also pretty nice as well, because the rear guards are already hitting for a good number, but at the same time, they are relatively low, so front triggers help pump them up a little bit more. And again, if you Katrina with them, then God help your opponent. And then being a possible 20k shield when your opponent tries to rush you back is pretty nice as well, so easy 4 for me. Then we have 4 copies of original style Elshuka. Grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 5k power, aka the crit that fucking hates me, because every time I play against a Lyrical Monasterio deck, for some reason, if they run a vanilla crit, it's always this one, and this one always comes down to killing me, and like when it's a 1 to pass or see a crit and I'm dead. This crit has it out for me. I don't know why. 4 of Elshuka. One day she will not have it out for me, or she will keep having it out for me, and I don't know with this one, but it's nice to have for pressure, I guess, because, you know, you're being able to nullify Sentinels and get big numbers on Vanguard. Why not run crits? Then we have 4 heals in Peaceful Garden Anika. Grade 0 boost, 15k shield, 5k power. Just a standard heal trigger. Honest to God, I do like her as a heal. I like her art. It's just so serene and peaceful. Also, she is essentially the Lyrical Monasterio version of Ariana for me. For when I need her, she literally shows up. She comes in clutch hard, so there's no reason for me not to run her. And as for the reason why I don't run the effect heals, I just don't like the effect heals. I feel like they're too situational. Being 10k shields most of the time and only 25k shields in very specific situations. I'd rather have a consistent 15k shield, but if you want to run the effect heals, go ahead. But I'm sticking with this one because, again, clutch like Ariana, and I just like her art. Then we move on to our grade 1s. First, we run 3 copies of Fighting Spirit Recharge, Louisa. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 6k base, auto rear guard. When this unit boosts, if your vanguard has sung a song this turn, this unit gets 5k for the battle, and then if it's in the back row center, counter charge 1. What I love about this is this card, while yes, it's support for Loronerol, because she is the only grade 3 right now that can actually, or any card that can sing a song. First up, it doesn't restrict the grade. So if they ever give us a grade 1 or 2 that works on Vanguard Circle, that can sing a song, this is plausible to go off, but also, it doesn't require a Loronerol. Just saying, if Bushy ever decides to release a card that doesn't involve Loronerol's card name that can sing a song on Vanguard Circle, Louisa's fair game. Anyways, being able to be an 11k booster and a free counter charge is all around pretty solid, and she's an 11k booster anywhere on the board, but the counter charge only happens in back center, but this deck doesn't use up too much CB, and she's a nice balancer for that, so easy 3-0 for me, and I see her enough as, especially with the new Loronerol being able to call stuff from deck. Then we have 4 copies of Coiling Parade Shibanu, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. Auto when she's placed on rearguard circle. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard Loronerol its card name, you may counterbalance 1 to look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Choose 2 different Loronerol cards in there with their original card names that are grade 3. Reveal them, put them to your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you do not reveal any cards, you may draw a card. Or you have to draw a card. All around, very good card because it allows you to search out the 2 different Loronerols. It's literally just the same thing as the Wallista grade 1 that we got before, because I think the Wallista card looks top 7, but either way, pretty good because it gives alternate options for Persona rides, not to mention the fact it can possibly get you a draw in case you need it, and it's just all around like a good solid grade 1, and like I said before, this deck doesn't need too much CB, so might as well run a card that can not only deck thin but also search out your Persona rides and or just, you know, alternate quote-unquote ride targets, and could possibly get you a draw if you fail to add any cards, because it's up to, so if you only see 1, you can just choose to be like, I don't want to add something, just draw a card instead. For Shibanu, she's a decent grade 1, why not? Then we have 4 PGs in Soapy Splash Ravenia, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 0 shield, 6k base, continuous hefto, you may have 4 zones in deck, and always put on the guard circle. Choose one of these, it cannot be hit on a battle, and if your hand is 2 more cards, card can discard it. Standard PG and special battle base these, if this only 1 card you can place on guard circle, you don't have to discard one, which is great, because that means you can be as aggressive as you want in the early game, and then when your opponent counterattacks you, you can just throw down this PG immediately when you only have 1 other card, and you can just be like, nope, I'm safe, I'm good for the turn, unless you pull the over crits, and I'm just all around good. But all around Ravenia is just a nice PG to have. You can really run any PGs from Lyrical Monasterio because most of them all have the same exact skill for defensive abilities, but I prefer this one because it's a war beast and it fits the theme, though this is also the PG I run the most of, more or less, so there's that, but I might as well run Ravenia in this deck. It belongs with, I guess, Loronerol, so easy 4 of. Then we have our last grade 1s, the grade 1 of the ride line, 1 of in the ride deck, none in the main deck of Throbbing Search Loronerol, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto when she is wrote upon, search your deck or hand for up to 1 grade 1 song card, reveal it, put it to your order zone, and if you search your deck, you shuffle it, and if you put a card from your hand, you draw a card. All around pretty solid because it gets you a free order into your order zone one way or another. The difference is that you either get to deck thin for it or you get a free draw out of it. It's all around a solid grade 1. I like its skill. If you're wondering what the grade 1 song is, we will get to all the songs at the end of this because I just put them after every unit because I'm not going to go like in between and describe what each song does, so we'll do those at the end. So 1 of Loronerol in the ride deck, none in the main deck sadly because it has no rearguard skills, but a free deck thin / draw card is nice to have. Then we move on to our grade 2s. First up, we run 2 copies of Honest Council President Eknoa. I swear, there's like 4 of them in the version on tabletop, except this build is pulled exactly from that tabletop build, and I refuse to believe this is a 2 of because I consistently draw both of them. I'm starting to question logic, but grade 2 is at 5k shield, 10k base, auto rearguard once per turn. When this unit attacks into anything, if your Vanguard has sung a song this turn, again, not restricted to Loronerol, so if they ever make one that can do that, it's cool on us. It gets plus 5k power for the turn, and then by counterblasting 1 and discarding 1, draw 2 cards. All around pretty solid because it can basically, well, it doesn't double your hand, but it, like, you know, it replaces the card you discard and then you just get an extra draw out of it too. And then again, she kind of like pushes more CB. This is probably going to be the card that causes your CB problem, but again, Louisa here for countercharging. Either way though, she's a solid card. She's a 15k base, almost guaranteed as long as you sung a song this turn, and then if you wanted to, because it's not a mandatory skill, you can draw 2. Nice card. What's not to like about it? It's easy draws and 5k guaranteed without having to pay a cost, 2 of. Then we have 4 copies of Clearstream Marlu. Believe it or not, I see this thing somehow more consistently than I see this. I still see them both a good amount of times per game, but again I say, I see both of these consistently during the entire game, and for some reason I barely see 2 of these. I don't know why. Anyways, Marlu, grade 2 of 5k shield, 10k base, continues rear guard during your turn. If your auto zone has 2 or more face down cards, this unit gets plus 10k, and then auto, if you persona road this turn, this cost may be paid by soul boss 1 instead, though you don't have to persona ride to use the skill in general, and that would be when this card is placed on rear guard, put a card from hand to soul, or again if you persona road soul boss 1 instead, search your deck for up to 1 song card, reveal it, and put it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. All around, pretty solid because granted on first grade 3 turn it's only going to be a 10k base because you can't sing more than 1 card a turn, you know, unless they make us a new card that can sing before we get to grade 3 or that allows us to sing twice on first grade 3 turn. You can effectively make this thing a 20k base when that happens, but you know, being able to get it on place, send a hand card to soul, so one of your many Loronerols to increase triple drive odds and make this thing more useful, which is great, and then deck thin for an order. all around, this thing is great. You know what's funny? She reminds me of Top Idol Aqua from V. You know that one card that was on place from Bermuda's and bounce a card to hand to draw a card, then discard one? That was a named once per turn? Yeah, you want to know how many stupid combos I played with that deck and how many times I comboed it with Sedna? Enough times for that to probably be the reason why it was banned, or limited. Or not limited, but the reason why they made it a named once per turn. So, 4 of Marlu, because she reminds me of that card and she just happens to be just as good. So, cool. Then we have our last grade 2, it's the grade 2 of the ride deck, one of in the ride deck, none in the main deck, of Blossoming Vocal Loronerol. Grade 2 in FIK Shield, 10k base, continues Vanguard Circle. The skill I literally always forget. During your turn, if your order zone has a face-up song, it gets plus 5k power. I mean, not like it matters. I mean, it kind of does, because I can see people always like blocking the grade 2 Vanguard attack, because it's easier to block it when you're at a grade 1 or a grade 2, because unless they have a booster, if you block with a 15k shield, unless they see the over, they're not hitting, but being a 15k base does make it so that it's harder to block the Vanguard at grade 2, so fair enough. Anyways, auto when it's rolled upon, search your deck or hand to one grade 2 song card, reveal it, put it to your order zone, and if you search deck, you shuffle it, and if you put a card from hand, draw a card. Literally the exact same skill as the grade 1. You either get a free draw or you get a free deck thin. Either way, it's a solid card. It can search for options, even if you have like one of the 2 grade 2s in hand. If you have the other one in deck and you want to grab that one, you can grab that one instead, which is all around great. Sadly, it doesn't have a rear guard skill, so there's no reason to run in the main deck. It should have just been this is the rear guard skill, but I don't know why they didn't do that. One of them in the right deck, none in the main deck, but it works what it works. Then we move on to our grade 3s. First up, we have 2 copies of the original Loronerol, Heartfelt Song Loronerol. Like I said, it's surprising because I didn't expect to want to swap between both Loronerols as much as I do, and I very much do. She's not the ride deck grade 3, by the way. She's the one in the main deck, though you can hard ride her from hand if you want to, because nothing stops you from doing that. I just question you if you do. Anyways, grade 3 10% 13k base, active Vanguard once per turn by counterblasting 1. Choose a face-up song card from your order zone and sing it. Activate the song's ability of the song, and then turn it face down after that ability resolves. That is the most confusing sentence I have ever read. Activate the song's ability of the song. I know what it means. It's just weird that's how. Remember, this was pulled from the Japanese when it was like only in Japanese, but fair enough. Being able to activate the song skill is great, and again, we will get to those in a second. But there are ones that are like get a crit, get 5k to front row, get a 5k to Vanguard and draw a card. All around pretty solid. And then the auto Vanguard ability: when this unit attacks into anything, if you have 2 or more face down cards in your order zone, choose a face up song in your order zone, sing it, and until end of battle, your opponent cannot call cards from the hand to guard circle. Basically, you flip 1 card face down, and then during your battle phase, you can nullify Sentinels, and typically the one you flip face down is going to be I want to say it's 6 Flower Fractal, I think that's his name, which stands units equal to the number of face down songs on your board, and then the Vanguard's plus 10k for each. That is typically why Loronerol's deadly, because you normally just, on that turn, you counterblast 1, you sing the one that gets the extra crit, you swing with your rear guard, then you swing a Vanguard, then you nullify Sentinels, you flip down 6 Fractal Repel, whatever it's called, stand your rear guards, make this thing somewhere in the high 50s, and then make it so that they can't guard Sentinels while it has double crit on it. Easy 2 over this thing. It adds pressure, it makes it dangerous. It's not bad using it to go first, I guess. Or like if you need to go into it for the first grade 3, you can. But again, remember it's not in ride deck, so if you choose to hard ride this, then you're stuck outside of then you've lost 1 copy of the original, or like the new one basically, because it's going to be stuck in ride deck the entire game. But 2 of Loronerol. She's nice to have as an alternate option because she can sing 2 songs a turn if you happen to have at least 1 face down at the start of the turn. So there's that. Then we move on to our last unit card in the deck, not the last card in the deck though. 3 of in the main deck, 1 of in the ride deck. The ride deck, grade 3, Sing With Me, Loronerol. Grade 3 Jump Star, 13k base, Dress Up Heartfelt Song Loronerol. During this fight, this card is also regarded as a specified card. So basically what that means is during deck building, you can run both these at 4s if you want to, and then when the fight happens, there's still 4s in the deck because no rules are stopping you from doing that. And then, of course, they can be Persona on top of each other, so you can, if say this is on the Vanguard Circle, you can Persona ride this on top of this and vice versa, so you can ride this on top of this and it'll still trigger Persona ride either way, which is great. And then it's 2 skills. Auto, when it's placed on Vanguard Circle, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, choose to 1 grade 3 allows unit card from among them called to rear guard and shuffle your deck. I remember when I read this, I just felt like this is a random skill they gave this card because they couldn't think of a genuinely better skill to give it. And I still very much think that because that just skill feels like it comes out of fucking nowhere for this deck. Except that skill is really good. because it gives me rear guards, which I feel like is something that I've had a problem, or like that's one of my problems that I had with Loronerol before. I felt like getting rear guards just like a weird thing. Not like it was hard, but it just felt weird getting rear guards in Loronerol. Now it just feels, I don't know, more comfortable getting rear guards in Loronerol, especially because this thing can be triggered by placing from anywhere, not just from hand. You can top 5 search, call this, which I don't do half the time because I don't have access to it in my top 5, but guess who is in my top 5? You guessed it, her. But if she was in my top 5, I could call her, send a hand card to soul, get another deck thing, which is all around pretty nice. And then Auto Vanguard. When this unit attacks into a Vanguard specifically, choose up to one face-up song card from your order zone and sing it, and then if your opponent's Vanguard's a grade 3 or greater, Soul Blast 1 grade 3 of Loronerol in its card name. So, you know, either you Persona Ride and get one to Soul, or you use Shibanyu in combination with this thing to Soul Blast 1 grade 3 with Loronerol's card name to end the battle. It gets a drive, and your opponent cannot call Sentinels from hand to guard circle. All around, it's not bad because it's a free song sing. I think my main issue that kind of comes down with this is, like, I don't know, I feel like this one has a little bit more power behind it because, you know, you can get more cards face down in with your songs and therefore slowly make 6 flower more powerful, while this one you can only sing 1 song per turn. So there's that, and that's why I like having them alternate as ride options, but all around still pretty good because, again, she sings a song for free regardless. So if you get, like, run out of resources in every sense of the word because maybe you're playing against Prison and you just don't know how to play against Prison, or, like, they just take all of your counterblast and soul blast because you need to keep up with them, then, you know, worst case scenario, you get a free song sing. But being able to get a drive is not that bad either. I have killed people with a triple drive, so there's that. And then I'll still being able to restrict Sentinels. It just doesn't get as much power as this one does, but it's still pretty good nonetheless. So 4 of Loronerol. She's, in my mind, like, you want to have her in the ride deck to, you know, get that free song sing early, and then depending on the situation, like if you're going for the kill, you might want to go into this one, but if you're like going for, I guess, more quote-unquote consistency, this one is the one you want to go for. But she can also work as a finisher too, but both, I think, in terms of power, this one does it way more, no arguments there. Then we move on to our songs and our orders and basically the last set of cards in the deck. So first up, we run 2 copies of all of them. 2 copies of Romantic Happiness first. Grade 1 set order. After set order is played, put it to order zone. Auto order zone. When this card is sung, draw a card. Choose one of your Vanguards, go up to 5k for the turn. Okay, cool. So, you know, these 2 become 18ks, which is nice, and you get a free draw. It's not bad. This is normally meant to be the song you sing first if you're not playing hyper aggressive, because it gets you a draw and it still gets you a decent power boost. Like, it's not amazing. It's definitely not meant to be you play this during the turn you're planning to kill unless you have no other options. You normally sing this first just to get it out the way, and because you don't want to waste any of your other cards. 2 of Romantic Happiness. It's just there to be there, basically. Then we run 2 copies of Matter Red Runway. Grade 2 set order. After set order is played, put it to order zone. Okay, that's the last time I'm going to say that because I'm not going to say that for the next 2. Auto is put into order zone, whether it's by effects or just straight from hand. If your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or greater, draw a card. There's something I forgot to mention earlier, because these 2 directly say put, not play it. That means you can just play another one that turn. So say, for example, when you get to grade 2 and you ride this on top of this, and you use her skill to play Romantic Happiness from deck or hand, doesn't matter from where, into order zone. If you happen to have like Red Matter Runway or Twilight Waves over here in your hand, you can just play it that same turn, because again, put and placing are 2 different things. So that's great. But anyways, being able to draw a card, whether if your opponent's Vanguards are grade 3 or not, is pretty nice. So, you know, if you're going second and you ride this, and you ride one of these 2 on top of this, and, you know, instead of getting Twilight because maybe it's already in hand, or maybe it's already in order zone, one of the 2, or maybe you just really need that draw, you can just quickly get Matter Runway from the deck or into your hand and just play it and get that draw. And then auto order zone, when it's sung, choose one of your Vanguards, gets a crit for the turn. Okay. It doesn't do much because, you know, yes, restricting your opponent's Vanguard Sentinels and also being able to get crits is pressureful. If you don't have power to back it up, then it doesn't really matter. But again, I say this is normally used for final turn plays where you play 6 flower and you just kill people with it. But it also works in the case where you have to use this one as long as you Persona Ride that turn, it's still pretty good numbers. But typically, regardless, if you're going to play Matter Red Runway, you're typically going to end up going on to Loronerol for it if you're going for like a final turn crit combo. 2 of this card though still. Again, good free draw and then gets a crit for it. And then we have 2 copies of Twilight Sound of Waves, grade 2 set order, auto. When this card is put into your order zone, again, doesn't matter if it's placed normally or just directly put by skills, choose one of your Vanguards and it gets plus 5k for the turn, and then auto order zone, when this song is sung, all your farming units get plus 5k for the turn. Cool, so half Persona Ride, you combine it with a Persona Ride, it's 15k boost. what's not to like about it? And it's like kind of a better version of romantic happiness in terms of power, where if you're going on like your first grade 3 turn and you don't think you need that draw and you just want to add more power, but you don't want to go all in with the power and you don't want to like rely on Red Runway's quit, you can just use Twilight Sound of Waves to increase your power just a little bit more and put a little bit more pressure on the opponent's vanguard. So 2 of Twilight Sounds of Waves. It adds numbers and that's pretty much all it does, but it does in a good way. Then we have our last card on the deck, 2 of 6 Flower Fractal. Grade 3, set order. This card I hate. Auto, when it's put into your order zone, choose a face down card from your order zone and you may turn it face up. So you have to pick a card. You do have to select something, but you don't have to flip it face up, which is nice because that would kind of slow down your plays of using this on second grade 3 turn. But on the bright side, if you're not planning on using a second grade 3 turn, you can just flip it face up. Like say for example, it's Red Runway or like Twilight Sound of Waves because you want it to kill on this turn with like Persona Ride combos, so fair enough. And then Auto Order Zone, when this song is sung, this ability is going to be probably most powerful in terms of quick game winning on this Loronerol. If you're going to do this one to get that same power, you're going to have to wait an extra turn, so take that as you will. But 6 Flower Fractal, when it's sung, choose the same number of your rear guards as the number of face down cards in your order zone, and because of how timing works with songs, I remember I got this wrong the first time I did this, and thank you for people that explained it to me, even if you're assholes about it. But the second the song is sung, it's still considered face up, and then once it goes activated, it goes face down. So basically, while yes, it could count itself, if it was counted face down, when its ability is being activated, doesn't count itself because again, it's not face down. So your rear guards are the same number of face down cards in your order zone, and stand them, and then choose your vanguards and it gets plus 10k on a turn for each unit that was stood by this effect. So essentially, say for example, you have 3 cards in your order zone, Red Runway, this thing, and let's say this. That's impossible. This, and this. Let's say these 2 are face down and this one's being currently sung. It would stand 2 rear guards because these 2 are face down and you add 20k to the vanguard, and then this gets flipped face down, which means you get 1 less stand. So all around, it's a pretty good card. It adds multi-attack to your balance. It makes the vanguard, who probably has an extra crit thanks to this thing, even more deadly, especially with nullifying sentinels. And worst case scenario, it can allow you to refresh your orders to play again if you don't plan on going for the kill that turn, or in case you plan on going for an alternate way to kill like Twilight Sound of Waves because maybe you don't have access to this one for high pressure with the restand board. Either way, it's a solid order and it's nice to have. So 2 of all around. It's just like Zora because I see them all consistently, so there's no reason not to run them more than 2 of each. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, this deck is, I want to say it's amazingly fun to play, but I would say it's a lot more fun to play than its original version. Like I said, this new Loronerol makes it feel more comfortable having rear guards. Like, I don't really know how to describe it. It just feels a lot easier to obtain rear guards, even though it's only 1 rear guard extra a turn. It's still nice to have it. The orders feel like they actually proc off more. I remember before when I was playing this, the orders would just spawn the hand and nothing would get done, and even though this orders were literally at the exact same amount, and now the orders feel like they're actually working together with me, and being able to do free searches and this thing being as consistent as it is, all around is fun. It's weird too, this was at a 4 of before, and I'm somehow seeing it more consistently now as a 2 of than I was seeing it as a 4 of. Don't question this logic, because I question it too and I still don't have an answer. But without further ado, I'm gonna end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us, go to follow Twitch. I'll see you all in the next one. Never stand up, your vanguards.